And thankfully, I played like national team, international basketball, which is obviously super physical. So that is sort of, I was mentally prepared for it. Like I didn't sort of take it by surprise, but it's physical. I mean, you've obviously got, um, and it's physical, but it's also, it's challenging because, when you play domestically, you kind of know how most teams play. Like, you know how most teams in Italy play, or like if you're in Spain, you know how Spanish teams play, Greek, so on, so on. But obviously, when you're playing EuroCup, you're playing a team pretty much from a different country every week. So you're playing different styles of basketball every week. You're playing against different styles of basketball every week. So you're having to get used to that. You play a Spanish team and they're going to be super drilled. The offense is going to be fluid. The ball's going to be moving. It's going to be flowing. You play against a Greek team. They might be more of a walk-up, run a set every, you play against, we played a team, a Romanian team last year, and they were physical. They're picking up full court. They're aggressive. They're hitting. So you got to get sort of used to all types of basketball within super condensed amount of time. And then obviously you don't have a crazy amount of time to prepare because usually you have a game on the weekend. You might have a couple of days to prepare for your EuroCup games. Then you've got travel that also plays a part and all these different things. So it's mentally it's obviously tough because you've got it's a quick switch between games. So you've got to be ready to prepare and lock in for the next one. So you play Sunday, Monday you recover, Tuesday you might have to fly, and then playing Wednesday. So within that Tuesday it's cool. You got to get filming, you got to get recovery and get a little practice in and some work in, and then obviously it's a lot of film, it's a lot of study, and it's a lot of breaking down opponents. And again, physically you got to get yourself ready. So you got to make sure you've recovered from the last game, you're ready to go again. Because physically it's obviously a demand on the body, but that's what we work for. And that's, obviously, again, like I said, the summer is helping prepare for that. But it's physical, and obviously you've got then a very high level of player. So you've got guys that can score the ball, guys that can really go and that can really score. You've obviously got bigs who are super dominant, super physical, that set killer screens, so you've got to be ready for all of those kind of things and play a level of physicality which is high and intense. You're not going to get calls, and you're not going to get and then you play in hostile environments, which add to that. You go to some countries and as soon as you walk in the gym, you've got 9,000 people, bro. Literally, you've got 6, 7, 8,000 people booing you from the start, and they're insulting you and they're shouting who knows whatever sort of thing at you during the game. You got people. I played in gyms where people shake the baskets when you're shooting free throws, like things like this, and it's like, oh, this is crazy. Like this is nuts. And then obviously, and that could be like the worst team, but like they win games because their crowd's crazy. Like it's that kind of vibe with it. It's that kind of momentum. Sometimes it just takes a shift, and they add to that. And now the team's a bit more aggressive. Now someone cracks you over the elbow as you're running, just cause like you don't even have the ball, and it just. And then like, what do you say? You just, all right, cool. Like that's how we do it. All right, we got to keep going with it. So, definitely got to get used. You have to get used to the physicality a bit. And yeah, because it definitely plays a part. And then you have to be physical as well, because you have to, you want to impose your will and to make sure that the team is battling the right way or stuff as well. So the physicality part of it was obviously an adjustment. And then again, like I said, you're going against high level pros, like guys that know how to score, shooters at the next level, all of those kind of things. It takes a step up from domestic and every level. So from youth, then it goes to, then to maybe a third division, second division, first, it always takes that next step up. So, you kind of got, as your skills improve, your body has to improve so that, you can, those skills, you have the body to use those skills at the next level when you're playing against, bigger, faster, stronger athletes, guys that have been there, done that sort of thing. Because, the same teammates I had under 18s, I'm not physically imposing to them. I am to a guy, a 32-year-old, 6'8", 4-man, just trying to bump and fight. Like it's a different kind of battle. So, it's making sure I get ready for to be able to do both. And, in my position, I got to be strong, but I also got to be mobile and versatile to be able to guard, whether it's 1 through 4. So it's finding the balance between the two. And then, being able to do multiple things, but also be ready for the physical impact that, that kind of season can have.
And how key is like basketball IQ at that level? Because I mean, I can only imagine even though shout out to Dan Pex, he was telling me like at the local league, national level, you're teaching players to be ready to shoot before the ball is in their hands. But at the pro level, because the game is moving so quick, it's not be ready to shoot. You've already read if you're open before you even receive the ball. Like the game is so quick. So how important is basketball IQ at that level? And when was a moment where that you had the right basketball IQ defined a game for you, to say?
I mean, defining game is a tricky one because obviously there's so much moving parts within a game. But you know, obviously IQ plays a massive part in just how you control the game, how you read. Because there's been times where, you know, if you're up 20 and you've got 6-7 minutes left, you know, you got to control that, because especially like if you're on a road, it takes 2-3 minutes of madness. And like I said, those, bro, look, like with those, like literally, I remember we had one game last year and we was up maybe 15-20 in the third quarter.
Okay.
And like 4 minutes to go in the fourth, we were down like 6-7. And it was literally, you know, a few turns, and it was like a slow burner. Like it wasn't even like it was, you know, steadily they wore us down, and it was like we were just making bad plays. Like it was just turnovers when we didn't need them, or rush shots when we was like, if you're up, you don't need to keep rushing shots. You don't need to, you know, we were playing like we were down 20, but we were jacking up shots that we didn't need to, or, you know, those things. It's being able to read what the game needs at different points, and just being able to read plays and stuff in the moment, and they're able to sort of understand, you know, time and score and foul situations, how the refs are calling the game. That you know, I feel like that is a big part of, you know, I guess basketball IQ that people sort of take for granted. How is the game being called? Like, how is, you know, how are these sort of things being taken into play? You know, are refs letting bumps or more physicality go? Are they being, you know, they tight whistled where they're calling everything? You know, how are you reacting to that? You know, how are they, you know, how are they playing offensively? You know, are they struggling to score? Like you don't want to give them anything easy if they can't score right now. You know, you don't want to give them, you know, you don't want to foul a 3-point shooter for no reason and give someone that hasn't been scoring 3 easy free throws to get them go. Like, you know, little things like that. And obviously when you're managing a game, you want to make sure you get good shots. And even if you miss good shots, use the possession. Like, you know, you don't want to shoot after 5 seconds, miss and let them go down and get a layup. You know, things like that. Especially when you're on the road. Because again, when you've got those crazy crowds that are just waiting, they're just waiting for that moment where their team goes on a little 6-8-0 run. And now it's like, oh, now it's a whole different game.